if the organization you work for actively hides sexual abuse, can you really say that organization speaks on behalf of a benevolent God?
You can say it, you can claim it, because you know they're going to do that no matter what. Whether or not they actually do, though, I mean, that's the part that's really up for question, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to the tweets, but before we move on to the tweets, I just have one thing that I want to do where I'm not going to show the text because I feel like this would be funnier if you just hear it without the text. You know how I've said before, when you, like, if you read the transcript of something that Trump has said, then it becomes very painfully obvious how bad he is at speaking? Well, it makes it even worse when you have someone that doesn't necessarily, like, someone else read the transcript when they don't know what inflections he was using and what mannerisms he was using or whatever. Like, it makes it all the more clear just, like, how bad this guy is at talking. So, like, I have a whole paragraph excerpt from his Las Vegas rally on June 9th that I want to read without you guys having access to the text. And so you can tell me if this makes any sense to you. So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT. My relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight, and you're in the boat, and you have this tremendously powerful battery, and the battery's now underwater, and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Did you notice that? A lot of shark. What? I watched some guys justifying it today.
I am getting overloaded. What the fuck is this series of words?
I'm not even halfway done, Suris.
There were 5 different ideas presented as starts of different conversations in a single run-on sentence. What the fuck, Rhino? I need at least a comma. I would prefer a semicolon somewhere in there.
Well, comma, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood they misunderstood who she was. These people are cray. He said, there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand. A young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too, a lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted, or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, you know, nobody's ever asked me that question. I wonder why. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through the water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you'd get electrocuted? I'd take electrocution every single time I'm not getting near the shark. And then in brackets at the end it says sick.
Okay, so I have to know. Was this Trump or Musk?
This was Trump. At his rally in Las Vegas.
What the fuck was I supposed to gain from that? What was the central message?
Jassa says, I actually think he was telling the truth. If that man exists, he was never asked that question before. I agree. So the sad part is, I am deep enough into Trump lore that I actually know what he was talking about here. This is him ranting and raving against electric cars, believe it or not. Because...
How?
Because...
How?
Because
how does that? No. How does that idea? How does that idea from that boiled down to I'd rather have my nipples electrocuted than my dick bit off by an ocean creature? How does that idea have anything to do with a fucking vehicle? How?
Because Suris, the extension of the electric car technology it will be eventually that we have electric boats as well. And if you have an electric boat, that's got a really big battery in it. So what happens if the boat starts to sink? Then water goes across the battery. We all know how, like, especially if you're in the ocean with salt water. So clearly you're going to get electrocuted. So you have to choose between being electrocuted or the shark that's 10 yards away. Because there's always a shark 10 yards. Maybe Trump plays Raft, because there's always a shark 10 yards away from your raft in Raft. Fennec says, wouldn't the battery be sealed against water? Yes, the battery would absolutely be sealed against water. But if your boat's sinking, maybe you crashed into something that broke the seal? I don't know.
Oh.
Michael DeCino says, I think I just had an aneurysm. Yeah, that's understandable. But, like, yeah, that is Trump's rambling. And that is a direct quote.
How do you,
and, like,
how
that
do
is,
you get...
I don't know how he got it there logically.
Why
I just
is
know
that
I
even a-
have heard him go off on this tangent before, and it was related to electric vehicles. So, Plow King says, Rhino, the Trump Whisperer. That's a title I never wanted if ever there was one. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Back to the SBC story. They also, in their vote where they voted against banning churches with women, they also voted to oppose in vitro fertilization, because I guess they don't want their members having children to keep their religion going. And Fennec says, I was more
looking at the wall of text that is supposed to mean something.
It doesn't mean anything. Fennec says, I was more coherent coming out of anesthesia. Yeah, absolutely. Still better than the late, great Hannibal Lecter. That one, I think, if I recall correctly, the context actually made that one a little better. Now, there's that one where he said, I don't care about you, I just want your vote. Where he followed that up by saying the media is going to take that out of context and say that I said a horrible thing. And when the media did indeed take that out of context, Kevin Sorbo retweeted it with the full clip, saying like, "Oh, why don't you play the whole clip?" And the whole clip
doesn't do anything.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make it better. So like, he starts off talking about the weather. Oh, that's a nice breeze. I need you guys to stay. Don't leave like you guys did in New Jersey. He didn't say that, but like that's what he was getting at. And like after basically saying don't leave because the weather's nice, he said, I don't care about you, I just care about your vote. And then he followed that up by saying the media's gonna say that I said a horrible thing there. But like,
you
okay,
did.
You did.
You
so, like,
100% did.
Yeah, the media will report that you said what you said.
Like, too bad the media is going to take your words.
Fennec says, Raft stream? I did that once.
This is why it's super easy when somebody does the whole, like... If somebody does, like, a quote bind thing to me or anything like that, I can just grab whichever video that thing's from, throw it at them, and just be like, yeah, I'm confident of the words I said. That's what Trump is trying to do.
I almost always, when I'm doing a response video, I almost always have a link to the original video in my description. When I don't, it's because I'm responding to a really small channel and I don't want to dogpile them. That's the only reason I've ever not included a link in the description. And when I cut things out of the video, I actively tell people, I have cut things out of this video. If you are concerned that I'm taking things out of context, go watch the original video.
Yeah, I used to, when I did video responses as edited things instead of live things, video and description, and also would go through basically the entirety of the video, even if it ended up in like an hour-long video at the end. Mm-hmm. But now that I do it live, if I hit my endpoint of tolerance with whatever the fuck somebody's saying, I'll just say, yeah, we're 10 minutes into this and they haven't said anything worthwhile. I'm fucking done. I'm bored. You're bored. We're done.
The problem with me, like, I can't do it live because the problem with me is that, like, when I'm responding to that one sentence they said, I have to go read like 3 or 4 research papers on that topic first before I'll say anything about it.
Completely understandable.
I often do, like, read through maybe not the entire paper, but the majority of, like, more than just the abstract. Like, sometimes I do often skip the method section because I'm not qualified to
tell whether the method mattered.
Yeah, I know the method section is where you're most likely to find problems with a paper, but I'm often not qualified to even know what the problems would look like.
I think when that's the way that granted, I say that's the way that I used to do it, but I also styled most of the way that I did videos off of you and Apologia and Godless Cranium. So of course that's the way that I used to do it. But when I did that, I would just take the sources of the things that I was reading and just staple them into the end of the video description to be like, yeah, this is all the shit I read. It's here. Just
so
read it too.
I used to do that and just put it in the description. But then when H. Bomber Guy did his plagiarism video, and one of the points that he made was like, if somebody clipped that section of your video out by itself and took that out of context, would other people know that you were not saying your own words there? And so I took that and was kind of like, yeah, that's a good point. Like I generally do paraphrase, especially if it's a research paper. I will put it into more easy to understand, like a more common parlance. Oh, Dark Excalibur, where is that? Oh, I hate this. I see in one of my chat streams that somebody's... Oh, there it is. Is PNAS your favorite journal too, or is that just Rebecca Watson's favorite? No, PNAS is my favorite. It's also Cara Santa Maria as well. Anytime it comes up on Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, she always giggles about it, and that always makes me feel justified in also giggling about it, because Cara is like the most mature person on that podcast. So if she can giggle about it, I can giggle about it. But I also like, in particular, a paper that I reference quite frequently is a 2008 paper by author Dick Swab, writing in PNAS. So that's fun.
Is the best.
But yeah, so ever since that H Bomber Guy video, I always make sure to I have the whatever paper I'm getting the information from shows up visually in the video.
Yeah, makes sense.
And actually, since I've been doing that, it's been I've been more strict with myself about actually using academic sources rather than news articles or whatever, which actually makes it a little bit harder. But yeah.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie Chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.